even though along the time, even though throughout the months I started to get more, oh my gosh. I lost 70 pounds back in 2020, and if I had to start my weight loss journey all over again today, there are definitely some things that I would do the same, and then there's some things that I would change. And today I'm gonna be going through both of those just to hopefully help you out, maybe if you're getting started, or if you're struggling with some of the things that I mentioned, maybe this can help you out. So if you enjoyed this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you guys have been following me for a little, I talk a lot about my weight loss journey on my channel and what I did from the start that really helped me to have success. And I've got some other videos I can link in the description that really go through the basics of my journey and what helped me. But today the main focus of this video is talking about things that maybe I didn't do that I would do this time around, and also some things that I did do that I wouldn't do this time around. I think that it's just helpful to kind of reflect on my journey and see what I've done throughout the years that I've changed, that's been more helpful to me, and even throughout maintenance of my weight loss, just different tips and things that have helped me. So starting out, I kind of want to talk through some things that I would do, and these are actually things that I did do this time around. I'll just go through those pretty quickly because that's a lot of what I talk about on my channel, and I want this one to go into some other topics about what I would change. But one of the biggest things that I did was doing it for the right reasons. I had to find my why and find a reason that would actually motivate me enough. So that was something that if I was starting out, that would probably be the first thing that I did. And I had seen a quote, I talk about it a lot, but it was, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. That quote really triggered me to start my weight loss. I had really hit a rock bottom where I was terrified for my health and my future. So finding a reason to do it is probably the first step, I would say, because you need something that is enough of a reason to actually make a change. I feel like that applies to weight loss, and that applies to so many other aspects of your life, whether it's to make more money or move up in a career or something. Like, I feel like you just need the reason why, the motivation behind it. So I would find that first, and I know that it wouldn't change even 5 years later. If I was starting again today, it would be for my health, because it can really have an impact on your future and even your day-to-day life. And so that's why health became my priority. Another thing that I did, and I talk about as well, but rewarding for consistency, I would definitely start with that again. Instead of setting some weight for the first month that I had to hit off, I set a goal to just track for 30 days straight. And because I just tracked my food for 30 days straight, it actually led to me losing weight and having success in that first month. And then I rewarded myself, but I wasn't let down when I stepped on the scale and it wasn't exactly what I wanted to see. It took a lot of pressure off. That's something that I would definitely do again right from the start of my journey. And I think that that just really helped keep me going, especially in the beginning and throughout the journey. Another thing that I did pretty early on was just find community and find others who I could relate to, look online for inspiration of things that could really get me going and motivated on my journey. I think that having some extra support there was really helpful and motivating throughout my journey. So that's something I would start out with. I ended up making an Instagram account a couple months in, and that really was just fun for me. It was motivating. I shared my weigh-ins with others and meals and recipes and all those things. And a lot of people who were in the same spot in their journey did the same, and we connected. And it just was a really cool experience that helped to keep me motivated and positive, and just connecting with people who relate to what I'm going through. And it was the first time I had actually connected with people on that, because I feel like most of my life growing up, I didn't really ever connect with anyone else who was like overweight, that we like talked about our struggles or anything. I never really had that. And so being able to go online and have people to share that with, and we're going through the same thing. Specifically, I found other people who were following Weight Watchers. It was just helpful for me because we got excited about points, stuff like that. But I connected with a lot of others and found a good community, and then that's where I started my Instagram, my YouTube channel, and it's become what it is today. So that really is something that helped me a lot from the beginning, and it's something that I would do again from the start. And when I started out, I started with Weight Watchers. It was just a random thing that I had found online. The same night that I was scrolling and I found that quote about my wellness, I also saw some transformation pictures. I saw someone who was on Weight Watchers. I looked it up and saw that it was just like a point system, and I wanted to try it out. It was something new. I had done calories in the past and never had success. And a big part of that was because I would try to like work out to earn calories, and then I would overeat way more than I even realized. And it just wasn't accurate. I wasn't really even honestly tracking. But I think finding a way to keep track of what you are doing, especially when it comes to nutrition, is something that I would definitely do again from the start, because I had no idea. And one of the most helpful things that I did when I started my weight loss journey was I tracked the old meals that I was eating. So I took a normal day of how I used to eat and saw that I was eating like 4 or 5 times the amount of points I was allotted in a day. And it was just really eye-opening to me. It made me realize like, okay, even when I think I'm not overdoing it, or maybe I'm okay because I had like an apple today, and I don't know, I just didn't pay attention to all the little things I was eating. And I also didn't pay attention to the meals I was eating, what they actually contained and how much cheese and butter and oil and just all the extras that I wasn't paying attention to, how many extra calories and fat and all that stuff that they added. And it really caught up to me. So that first week when I started Weight Watchers, I just started scanning all the old things that I would eat. Specifically, the restaurant tab was really interesting because I was eating takeout 1 to 2 times a day. So when I would check the restaurant tab and see the meals that I used to eat, again, they were 100 points for a meal that I was just having that didn't even satisfy me that much. I was hungry a couple hours later, and then I would get fast food again. And it was just kind of a never-ending cycle that I really didn't realize the damage I was doing, and I didn't realize the portions and the calories I was consuming. So tracking those old meals from the start to kind of open my eyes and realize, okay, this is kind of a wake-up call. I need to pay more attention to nutrition and the calories I'm eating because it makes sense why I'm gaining weight if I'm consuming this much. So I would definitely do that from the start. That really helped to open my eyes, and not even in a negative or like shameful way. It was just to educate myself on what I was doing and what needed to change. Now, one thing that I did do that I'm really happy about was take progress pictures, but one thing that I would change that I didn't do is I didn't really take any measurements. I didn't really take a lot of videos when I was first starting out. I think I still just felt really self-conscious. It was really hard for me to even take the progress pictures I took. And that first week, I tried on a bunch of different outfits and took pictures in them because I kind of wanted to see how different outfits looked on me as I lost weight. I had no plan to like take weekly progress pictures or anything, but I did start to take some updated ones, and seeing the differences in how the clothes fit me was really motivating, especially when maybe the scale wasn't helping or motivating me and I felt like a stall or a plateau. Those pictures from the start and throughout my journey have really helped me to see how far I've come, but I really do wish that I took measurements because I always get questions about that. I do know what size clothing I wore before and what I wear now, but even that is just kind of all over the place, and I just wish I would have had a more accurate measurements of myself because even with lifting weights and building muscle, the scale has gone a little bit back up, and I know that my body's still gotten smaller or more toned and condensed because of the muscle, because muscle takes up less space even if it weighs the same. I would definitely take some measurements. I would also take more videos. Even of me working out in the beginning, I wish I would have. I felt self-conscious, and I feel like it would have been helpful for me to see the progress I've made in the gym because that is something that took me a long time to get comfortable with, just going and weightlifting and learning proper form. Looking at some of the videos I took before, my form was definitely not where it's at today, and to see the progress I've made, it's pretty motivating, and it does help me to see that I have made progress from the start. Okay, I just actually got done at the gym. I was in the middle of editing this video earlier, and I thought of something else I wanted to include, of something that I didn't do throughout the start of my weight loss journey, but if I was starting over, I would actually start to focus just a little bit on walking and steps. In the past, I had struggled with working out too much to try to like earn more food, and so when I started my weight loss journey this time around, I decided no exercise, like that wasn't gonna be my focus at all, because I really wanted to focus on my nutrition. However, within the past year, after I've already lost the weight and been maintaining it, I started to really prioritize steps and going for walks, and the difference it has made for me without putting in too much effort. Like honestly, it takes some motivation and takes effort at time and discipline to actually stick with walking, but I just thought of it because I'm at the gym and I park further to just get a couple extra steps in. So that is something that I would definitely start to focus on at the start of my weight loss journey. Not specifically exercising or working out, but maybe focusing just a little bit on steps. I, in October, got a Fitbit, and that's been tracking my steps since then, and it's been really motivating. It's really helped me to just hit my goals and try to get 10,000 steps a day. I have a video where I did 10,000 steps a day for a month, and I can link that in the description. But it wasn't something I focused on when I started my weight loss journey, but if I were to start over, I think I would just try to do a walk a day or even just 10 minutes here and there just to start to incorporate it because it really does make a difference. One thing that I would do that I didn't do this time around is I would set a realistic goal weight. And I mentioned before rewarding myself for consistency. Like I wasn't really focused on hitting a certain weight, but at the same time, I had a number in my head. And when it got closer and closer to hitting that number, it started to get really discouraging to me when I just couldn't go under 180 and my goal was 170. I didn't set a realistic weight picking 170. It was just what was on my license from when I was in high school. So I would be much more realistic with the goal weight that I set, or maybe even shoot for something a little bit higher so that I'm not feeling discouraged when it gets to the hardest part. Because I feel like it's really hard when you start stalling and kind of make that that switch to maintenance and deciding what that healthy weight is for you, I realized that if I lost another 10 pounds, it really wasn't going to be very sustainable for me. I like to eat good portions. I like to stay satisfied with what I eat. And I just feel like it would have been a little too restrictive if I lost another 10 pounds from there. So since then and years later throughout maintenance, I've gone up to 195, back down to 180, and I've just pretty much gone in between there. But a big part of it has also been muscle and just gaining muscle from working out consistently at the gym. The next thing that I didn't do this time around that I think I would do differently is focus just a little bit more on some of the nutrition right from the start. So when I started Weight Watchers, really my only focus was points. I just wanted to make sure that I was staying within my points for the day, and I didn't really pay attention much to like protein and fiber. And a few months into my journey, I definitely started to make it more of a priority, but I think just from the start, kind of getting a better idea about that. I wouldn't want to like overwhelm myself because again, I was starting from just getting takeout 2 times a day, not even looking at calories, not looking at anything like that, to tracking my food and trying to just make healthier choices. And I wouldn't want to like overwhelm myself with too much information, but I think just paying more attention to educating myself on nutrition, how important it really is to get fiber for digestion, even for the amount of protein that I have when I'm making protein a focus, because I did definitely focus on protein without actually trying to by eating so many 0-point foods, a lot of eggs, a lot of lean meats. That was really helping me to just hit my protein goals without focusing on it. But I think if I was more aware of it, even when I was buying snacks and stuff like that, it could have just helped out a little. Even though as the months passed, I started to get better at it and paid more attention to it. I think just starting it from the start would have helped me a little bit more. So that's something I would focus on, but again, not too much that you're overwhelming yourself. I don't even think I would focus on like tracking a certain amount of fiber and protein, but just paying attention to labels more when I actually bought stuff, because I would scan for points, but not really pay attention to what made point values higher or lower. And then throughout the months, I would learn like, okay, when it has more added sugar, it's higher. When it has more protein and more fiber, it's lower. And I started to pay attention to more of those things. And it definitely helped me to make healthier choices just a little bit easier. So then moving on, I want to talk about some things that I wouldn't do again if I were to start my weight loss journey. And these are some things that I kind of did do. So a little bit going into what I just said about the protein and fiber, but when I first started Weight Watchers, I really knew nothing about the program. And like I said, I started to consume some content that other people were sharing about things that they enjoyed. And a lot of the time it led me to just trying to find the lowest point food items that I could, which meant fat-free cheeses, different sugar-free options. And those things were actually really messing with my stomach and affecting me, and I had no idea. I finally put it together after a couple months, and then I started to cut those foods out because they just didn't make me feel good. But I was so focused on 0 points and just making meals as low point as possible, and I kind of got a little caught up in it to the point where I was eating things that just weren't making me feel good. So like I said, shredded fat-free cheese I used to buy all the time because you could have a serving for like 0 points, or I think it was like 1 point. It was very low point, and I just never felt satisfied eating it. I would just kind of convince myself that it was good, but I think that it made meals not as satisfying because of that. And so when I started to incorporate even reduced fat cheese, which had just a little bit more fat, and now I even try to use just some full fat cheese, but like thin slices or even a little bit smaller servings, I noticed that I feel better when I eat those things, and that's just what works better for me. I really got caught up in like the 0 point, low point things and sugar-free items, which I still use sugar-free different products and stuff. I found different sweeteners that work for me and others that don't, and so I just try to avoid some, but again, it's what works best for you, and I feel like it's kind of a learning experience. You learn along the way what works. But I definitely wouldn't focus on just like the lowest point items no matter what. It also got us to buy things that we didn't always enjoy, and then that's when it starts to feel restrictive. It starts to feel like this is a diet, and I just didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to still enjoy the foods that I did. So some lower point options did work. I was able to incorporate them and still feel better, and to this day I still use them, even if it's like powdered peanut butter. Like I feel like that was one of the things that I just wanted to use because it was way lower and I was never going to eat peanut butter again. But now I can incorporate peanut butter from time to time, but I still like to use the powdered peanut butter too. It's all about just learning what works best for you, but I definitely wouldn't focus too much on just like the lowest point or all sugar-free. I used to buy the sugar-free Russell Stover candies, and within like 20 minutes I would just be upstairs laying in bed holding my stomach, and it took me a while to honestly put together what was causing that. Like I just thought that I don't even know what was going on, but finally I figured out like, okay, right after I eat these, it's destroying my stomach, and so I just had to stay away. Whatever sweetener they used just didn't work for me. But instead of like getting upset that I couldn't have the lower point thing. I would just find another substitute that worked, and it's all about moderation and having balance. And I learned that throughout the years, but it's something that I wish I would have known from the start. Another thing that I wouldn't do that I did when I started out my weight loss is worry about what others think. And part of that, I didn't really tell anyone that I was doing this. So I kind of was upset when people didn't notice right away, because like Adam would come home for work, and because he was doing this with me at the same time, people at work would notice that he was losing weight, and then people at work weren't noticing that I was. And I was really letting that get to me because I was thinking like, what am I doing wrong? And it just kind of got in my head, worrying about what others thought. So starting over, I just wouldn't even worry about it because it's gonna happen over time. And eventually it did. I caught up and more people would notice that I was losing weight, but that wasn't even what mattered. I didn't need the outside validation because I was just feeling better overall. So instead of focusing on that, worrying what others thought, another thing that comes along with that too, and just sharing my life online and my journey and stuff, but a lot of people would say different things if I would post content about meals. I would randomly get some comments that would just question what I was doing, or just mean comments. And I really, especially in the start, let those get to me, and I let those change the decisions that I made. I let it kind of change how I did things, and I wish I wouldn't have done that because I really just needed to worry about what worked best for me. And now I still get those types of comments, but I really just take them with a grain of salt, and I realize that not everybody's journey is the same. So maybe it doesn't work for you, and maybe they want to comment that, but I need to just continue doing what works best for me and what makes me feel good. Not worrying about what others think. It is harder said than done, definitely, and both in your personal life and online if you choose to share it. I just think that it's hard enough mentally on yourself going through a weight loss journey, any type of transformation or changes to your health. It is tough, and so dealing with other outside thoughts just doesn't even help. So focus on you, and again, it's easier said than done, but don't let others get in your head. Okay, the next thing that I did that I wouldn't do again if I was starting over my weight loss journey is I wouldn't be afraid to use my weeklies. For a little bit in the start of my journey, I thought that if I ate my weekly points, I was going to not lose weight, or I was going to gain weight. I didn't realize that that bank of points was there for a reason, and there are different ways you can use it. If you want to use them all in one day, you can, or you can space them out. And it took me a couple weeks to really figure out the program and stuff, but I realized that spacing out my weeklies would work perfectly for me if I just went over my points a little bit each day, but using it on things that actually made me feel better or kind of hit my goals. Sometimes I would use some extra points on a protein bar, or there are other times that we would go out to eat or get takeout and I would just use up some extra points, but it just really helped me to learn how to balance out my weeklies and to actually use them. I feel like I get that question a lot. Are you supposed to use your weeklies? And you definitely are. The program is designed to help you lose weight using your weeklies. I was scared to use them in the beginning, and I slowly started to incorporate them more and feel even better and just learn how to work the program more with what I wanted to be consuming and what worked best for me to have balance. To be honest, there isn't really much that I would change about my weight loss journey this time around. In the past, like years and years ago, before 2020, I've always struggled with my weight. I had tried so many different ways to lose weight, so many different diets, so many different restrictive things. And in 2020, when I started this time around, everything was so different. I had a completely different mindset. I had new reasons for doing it, and I just gave myself some grace along the way, whereas in the past I put so much pressure on myself and I just cut out things, made it unrealistic. It just was never gonna lead to success. So this past time around was really the best attempt I've made at losing weight, and since then I've been keeping the weight off. I lost the 70 pounds in 2020 and I've been maintaining it since, like I mentioned, and continuing to just build muscle, focus on my health, stay active, and just focus on a longer, healthier future. So those are some of the things that I've done to actually have success this time around. There really isn't too much I would change, but these are just a few of those things that I kind of struggled with, and I hope that this is just a little helpful for you guys to hear what helped me and what I would do differently. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.